We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. I'm Kirk Henderson, joined as always by Josh Bowe. We are co-editors over at MavsMoneyball.com as well. You are joining us here on November 6th at about 10 p.m. The Dallas Mavericks improved to 5-3 with a 119-99 blowout win over the Chicago Bulls. Josh, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. It was nice to watch. It was nice to watch a Mavericks game that felt pretty complete from start to finish. Might be one of their most complete games of the season. So I was curious how this game would go because Chicago's not good, but they're kind of feisty. But they're also missing their best player, Zach LaVine. And the Mavericks are missing two of their, six best players.
I was really surprised LaVine didn't play, but, basketball's funky. The Bulls are in the phantom zone. They're not they're probably too good to tank for Cooper Flag, but they're probably not good enough to actually do anything. So the game was an interesting one. A little bit sloppy in the first, but Kyrie Irving came alive, scored 15 points in the first quarter. The fact that he finished with 17 points and the Mavericks were up by 25 for a significant portion of the game should tell you just how easily the Mavericks were able to score whenever they put their minds to it. Very much I don't want to say it was like a playing with your food game, but what would happen is the Mavericks would get a little sloppy for 3 or 4 possessions, and then they would play really strong for 8 or 9 possessions, and the lead would go from one place to another really quickly, and they walked away with a pretty solid lead. I thought the funniest part of the night to me was they kind of had to play Luka just from like a body's point of view, because it's not like you want Jaden Hardy to play 12 minutes in the fourth quarter, just because that's not, it's not really fair to him. And like Luka had an incredible, efficient looking stat line, and he finished with an incredible stat line, but he missed like 4 shots in a row as he was clearly working on just seeing what would go down, and nothing did. So he finishes shooting below 500, 8 of 19, which really made me laugh. But he also, he was like a team high plus 35.
Yeah.
He scored, I can't even see it because my touch screen. He scored 27 and he dished out 13 assists with his second highest assist total of the game. Don't really know where to start with this one. Do you have any like kind of pressing, opinions or thoughts at the moment?
Sure. I think my two main takeaways, and I think they can kind of bleed into each other. So let's try, we can try to do that. And the first thing is, I thought this was this might have been Luka's best game of the season. He was actually honestly offensively pretty good against Indiana. Their defense was just so bad. Everyone's defense was so bad. Luka's was bad. But his offense was actually, I know he shot 37% from the floor, but he had 15 assists, and he was not like, his assists was kind of a story of the season. The Mavericks were winning games, and he was having a slow start shooting wise, but he hadn't had double digits assists in a game yet until Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It took him seven games to get double digits assists. And I'm not looking back at previous seasons, but that kind of is a little stunning because he is a guy that is always right around 8, 9, 10, 11 assists almost every night. And even, that Rockets loss on Halloween, he had 2 assists, and it was like, I thought it was interesting because I think it kind of came back from what we talked about last season at times in the playoffs, that when teams were like, hey, we're just not going to blitz Luka in the pick and roll. We're going to play you one-on-one, and his assists would go down. Like his assists were down in the Boston series because Boston shaded their coverage in a way where that kind of they dared Luka to try to beat them with 40-point games in one-on-one coverage, and there weren't a lot of passing lanes for him. And I personally think the Mavericks are at their best when Luka's beating you with their pass. Like when he's racking up the assists, this team feels unbeatable in the same way that they feel unbeatable when he's making all of his threes. Like those two things I feel like go hand in hand. If like at least one of those is happening, the Mavericks are probably beating the crap out of you. Like if he has a high assist game or if he has a high 3 game. Obviously it didn't happen Monday night against Indiana, but their offense was absolutely not a problem in that game. So they did it again tonight. It's the first time they've been over. Looks like it's the first time they've been over 115 points in back-to-back games this season. So like I don't think this stuff is a coincidence. I thought he did a really good job pushing off misses, and the Bulls, God love them, they gave the Mavericks plenty of opportunities.
He hit one in the either the third quarter or fourth quarter, and it was who was it to?
Grimes.
Yeah, it was
Marshall.
It was the over the shoulder one to Grimes where it looked like a football catch because it was a high arcing pass, and it hit him just like this, and then it was great. I love. And then the Mavericks are a fun offensive team when it feels like they're trying to control the glass. It's the Bulls are not exactly a team that is built to attack the glass, but the Mavericks just sometimes just feels like, all right, we're going to focus on rebounding tonight kind of thing. And they didn't win the rebounding battle, but that's because the Bulls, let's see here, 47-50. Yeah, but I was just impressed with this performance. It's kind of hard to sometimes these Mavericks, as we've known them, have a real tendency to play down on their opponent. And it's kind of one of the things that we've actually kind of gotten the most frustrated with consistently with Luka over the years. And the fact that he was the driving force was nice to see. Yeah. Kind of obvious, superstar guy, but we've seen enough of him play where he's just not drawn to some games. He's just not. He's like, all right, well, we can win this if I try half-assedly. And this is a game where I felt like he was testing things, but not at the expense of the Mavericks offense. I don't know. I could be full of shit.
And I mean, it used to be that Luka would have to score like 10 or 12 points in the first quarter. Like that was kind of their thing, right? Like Luka was like, I think he was like the first leading scorer in the first quarters last season, or maybe the season before that.
No, but probably both years.
And I think there was a desire because he hasn't had good starts to games. The whole team hasn't had good starts this season. They've been pretty bad in the first quarter. And there was kind of like this desire, like, hey, well, Luka needs to score a lot in the first quarter. And I think this game was interesting because it kind of showed like he doesn't necessarily need to score a bunch in the first quarter. Kyrie had like 14 or 15 in the first quarter. Like, I don't think he needs to score a bunch in the first quarter, but he needs to be able to, leave his imprint on the game offensively. Like, I think the team is so talented now that they don't need him scoring 12 points, but he was passing like a madman to start the game. And I think like he was doing a really good job finding people, getting open. I thought they did a really good job in using him in different spots. You pointed out a couple of possessions, back-to-back possessions where he had a cut off ball, and then he kind of cut to the nail.
Bobby Corrala called it a 45 cut, and I didn't yell at him on the internet. I'm very proud of myself for not yelling at Bobby for coach speak. Yeah. But yeah, the catch, the cut was great. And Brian in the chat here was pointing out on Twitter. He's like, do you remember when Luka used to make cuts regularly? Only the Mavericks were so bad that nobody ever passed him the ball. And I honestly don't. Like I wonder if there's any older film of it. I wonder if Panda Hank could go dig some up. But it's like Luka's a smart basketball player, and they just have to utilize him. You know, they do these like really. It's like, oh, we're gonna take the ball out of Luka's hands and give it to him in different positions. So far, what that has meant is they post him up off the block, like always. Like they've never gotten the ball to Luka in different positions. That's why this catch, and I could just be completely overstating it, but the catch at the elbow, I don't remember him doing it. So I'm being silly. I don't.
No, because we got to look at stuff like this because these little things are the things that matter when you're talking about a team that's trying to win a championship. Mm-hmm. Like when you look at that Boston series, their defense, despite the fact that Boston and Indiana, those teams give the Mavericks defense more trouble than anyone, their defense hung in there considering the matchup was not good in the finals. They lost that series because their offense was just god awful. Yeah. Luka and Kyrie couldn't do it. They couldn't do it all. So, you know, they upgraded the roster offensively. Like Klay Thompson, Quentin Grimes, and Najee Marshall are better offensive players than the players that they're kind of replacing in Tim Hardaway Jr., Derek Jones Jr., and Josh Green. So they need to be able to do different things, and they can't, you know, smash their head into a brick wall and just asking for Luka to bail them out, running high pick and roll 50 times a game. And so just even if it's not a lot, just this stuff, like you said, catching at the nail, his cutting, the stuff that they're doing with dribble handoffs that I keep requesting that they keep doing that more. All that stuff matters when things get tight in these playoff games where they need to find different avenues to score when teams are just scouting better and you're playing against better defenses. Like you just need to be able to do that. And I think that kind of ties in the other thing I noticed.
Okay.
So they know PJ Washington because he's out with a right knee sprain. Be honest, I don't remember when he hurt it, if he hurt it in the Indiana game. So I wonder if it was just something we didn't notice, and then after the game, it flared up on him. So Najee Marshall starts, and I don't know about you, Kirk, but I felt a giant difference in tempo and fluidity with Marshall in place of Washington with the other starters.
I did.
I know he only had 2 assists, but just his ability to push and get the ball up the floor, even if it didn't lead directly to an assist. Like I felt that from the opening tip to, you know, the fourth quarter.
I agree. The kind of the question that I have, did I just lose my train of thought? Yep. Train of thought left the building.
About Najee and PJ, are you wondering
why?
Okay.
PJ is not a bad or unfluid or ball stoppery player. Like he's a decent dribbler. He's a decent attacker. Why is he the difference versus someone like Klay, who is kind of the one everyone wants to be pulled from the starting lineup?
You think people want Klay pulled from the starting lineup?
People who the Klay is the easy moving him to the bench is the easy solution to many fans. Not like just to make him the 6-man kind of thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I guess I get it, but on one hand, like the starting lineup needs shooting as badly as it can because if you're starting Gafford and PJ, and now obviously tonight, you know, they started Najee, but even Najee, I wouldn't consider him that much more of a floor spacer than PJ. Like, if you're going to start 2 non-shooters, you need your third player can't also not be a shooter. Like maybe, you know, if it's Grimes, but like, I think you need Klay's gravity and shooting to make starting a non-shooting big work as well as you want it to. Like, I don't know. I just think Klay shooting is too important in the starting lineup to tinker around and mess with the bench. I don't know. That's what I just feel.
No. Okay. Well, it's certainly interesting.
But I really like the Najee look with the start.
Najee's
yeah.
Najee's just such a different player in so many respects. It's hard to talk about him because when you do so, like, he had 2 or 3 instances of like wild unathleticism. Like, the man can't jump, but he's very effective with what the Mavericks need to do. He's just a fun player to watch. I don't have a ton more to offer that's particularly interesting about him.
He's just very malleable with his skill set. And it's just like, I repeat, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but he just represents like the shift that this front office is building this team toward, where you just have more guys that can just do stuff, which sounds really simple and kind of stupid, but it's like this era of the NBA team building where we get so specialized, in the data, and I'm not trying to do like a data or analytics rant, but just like, when you're trying to min-max these rosters and your salary cap, like, I think sometimes these teams overthink it. And I think the Mavericks did for the first couple of years of the Luka era, because they just are like, well, Luka's so good, we don't need a bunch of dribblers. Like, we just need Luka to have the ball all the time and he'll create all these shots and it's not a big deal. And it's like, it's not how it works in real life. Like, you can't play 4 guys that can't dribble next to one ball dominant guy. Like, you need more. And I just felt it, throughout this game, with this starting lineup, Clay, Luka, Kyrie, Najee, that's 4 guys that are all comfortable throwing the ball up the floor. Obviously, Clay, maybe not the most, but like, he's still okay getting a rebound and pushing ahead. Like, he's still a good passer. Like, his fundamentals in that aspect are good, even if he's mostly like an off-ball spot-up shooter. So that meant, like, you look at the rebounds, Luka had 7, Clay had 6, Kyrie had 6, Najee had 2. Like, when those guys get the rebound, it's not, oh, we got to look and find Luka. Like, where's Luka? Like, right. Najee is going up the floor when he gets the rebound, or he's hitting the go-ahead pass. Same for Clay, same for Kyrie, and then obviously Luka's Luka, and he did that a bunch tonight. He was really good at the up-ahead pass, the push-ahead pass tonight. But, like, having 4 guys in your starting lineup that can all start an offensive transition possession, whether it's a steal, a block shot, or a rebound, and not being like that deer in headlights look of, where's my point guard? I got to get him the ball so we can start this possession.
Yep.
Like, I think that makes a big difference in the fluidity of the offense and how things feel, and the tempo. The tempo was great tonight.
That's right. All right, let's take a quick break. I do want to point out Jared Sullivan saying, I love how the thumbnail has 2 guys who didn't play. Well, you're of course not wrong.
We're doing our best.
Pod Maverick fan Mason makes these for us. He actually does it free of charge, though. I attempt to throw him some of the money that we make whenever I can. And he does them in advance, and it's very helpful because the thumbnail actually matters to apparently, for reasons I don't understand. Whatever. All right, you're here. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We're 8 games into the season, 10% into the season. If you would please give us a subscribe. We've inched up. We've gained about, 40 or 50 followers so far into the season, which is more than I would have thought given the time of year. The Mavericks are definitely getting more interest, but I don't think anyone in the area can actually see the games yet because they're all on KFAA, and only Mavs faithful hardcore people are actually watching the game. So I don't really know if we're not getting that many low hanging fruit people stopping by the show. But
gotta wait for Cowboy season to end.
Right. Which theoretically it's already ended, but neither here nor there. So again, please subscribe to our show. Hit that bell too. It notifies you when we go live. If you subscribe to the bell, you'll get a notification. For those watching the video later, I've been seeing some really great comments, and I'm very grateful for people leaving comments, even the disagreements. Those are always fun. If you're listening on the audio on an audio stream, a podcast stream, please consider leaving a review. We're very grateful for your support. We're going to insert some ads here, and then Josh and I will be right back.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Talk to your specialist about Botox Cosmetic, Anabotulinum Toxin A, because Botox Cosmetic Day is back on November 20th. For one day only, buy one $50 gift card, get one free, while supplies last. It gets better because it's not just one day of celebration, but the whole month of November. Refer a friend to Ali, and you'll both get $50 off a Botox Cosmetic treatment. Plus, if you register and get treated during November 1st to 30th, you have the chance to win $10,000. For prescribing information and box warning, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes entry. Treatment must occur by 12/6. For full official rules, offer terms and conditions, and to join Ali, visit BotoxCosmeticDay.com.
Okay. This was nice. I don't know what else to talk about.
I mean, they kind of did their job, right? Like, there was never really a point where the game felt in question.
I don't feel like being mean to Omax. I'll just say just a whole lot of get up and go for what? Dwight Powell actually had a pretty effective 20 minutes, which is, kind of speaks more to the Bulls than it does to anything Dwight Powell does. But again, just being able to throw him in as the third string center and eat some minutes, I think has more value than most people who've watched the Mavericks for years would give you just because I think people are sick and tired of watching him. That said, I do think he got hit in the face like 5 times. So shout out to you, Dwight Powell.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest cascading effect of the PJ Lively injuries is like, okay, you can put in Marshall to start. You can play Gafford some more minutes, but like the bench is really starting to thin out when you're missing those two guys because they're already missing Exum and they're already missing Maxi Kleba. So there were the ugliest moments of this game, if you could call them the ugliest for the Mavericks, were definitely when the bench had to come in. But they did an admirable job for sure. I'm looking at the assists. The bench had a ton of assists. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or at least 5 bench players had at least 2 or more assists. Dinwiddie had 4. Powell had 3. So, that's great. You got to keep the ball moving with those guys. But obviously, like, you could tell when Powell gets into the game, like the Bulls had 14 offensive rebounds. They did score in the paint during some certain runs.
Yeah.
Like they need Lively back, but like Powell being able to be a positive in minutes off the bench in the year 2024 is absolutely a luxury when your 2 bench bigs are both hurt, Maxi and Lively.
I thought the Grimes minutes, I don't like talking about dudes' money and contracts and stuff like that. That's just not that interesting to me during the year. But I feel like the Mavericks are sort of going out of their way to limit Grimes' time on the floor. And he is going to continue to fight and have to earn that time. And in 16 minutes, he was 3 of 6 from the floor, 7 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He can play. And tonight would have been a game where, I would have expected more. But again, they played everybody. So maybe if the game wasn't quite as close, he might have had a few more minutes. Do you think I'm reading into this too much?
No, I understand because, he really is a fix for a lot of things that they need help with some of the things they've struggled, and they started 4-3, now they're 5-3. I think it's just tough because I think the minutes, because he's a guard, like you can get away with maybe playing some minutes with him at the 3 off the bench, but he's very much like a traditional 2 guard, and you've got Kyrie, and you've got Luka, and you've got Clay. And it's like, I just think he's just getting squeezed. Like, I think it's just tough. Like, if he could play backup power forward minutes, I think he would be on the floor a lot more.
Okay.
I just think when you've got Luka playing 30 minutes, Kyrie's going to play 30 minutes, Clay's going to be around 30 minutes.
Sure.
Like, where do the minutes come from? And maybe you squeeze some of Dinwiddie's minutes and you give it some more to Grimes, but I think they value Dinwiddie's floor presence. People can be mad about that. I know he he had 3 points and missed all 6 of his three pointers, but he did have 4 assists off the bench. Like I think that's the part that's tough. Is I just think there's only so many minutes for guards on this team right now that someone's going to get pinched. I mean, look at Jaden Hardy.
Yeah.
He didn't play tonight till garbage time, and he's kind of been excommunicated from the rotation for the most part. So like, I think they just got a lot of guard minutes. They got
Spencer stuff. I can see why it would drive, like, it drives me a little bit crazy because Spencer's horrid on defense and Grimes is not.
Yep. And it's just a matter of them valuing having someone that they feel comfortable keeping the offense afloat, because Grimes is not your traditional
right. No,
off-ball guard. You know,
Spencer is definitely better at that role. It's just I can see the frustration.
Yeah. No, I know. It'll be interesting to see how he's definitely someone to watch. Like, are they going to try to find more time for him, or are they going to squeeze his minutes? But in a game like tonight, that's hard to judge because it was a blowout. So it's like they wanted to get everyone in, like you said. But
don't really think there's much more to talk about other than kind of a brief look ahead, which I think is of some value here. So the Mavericks play the Suns on a Friday early game, another 6:30 start time, which kind of makes me worried for us getting killed with but I've not looked far enough ahead. Then they play Sunday at 7 against Denver, and then they play Tuesday, Thursday. They basically play every other day in the month of November, and I've been saying that, but it's worth repeating. Next weekend they have back-to-back on Saturday, Sunday, which is a little bit odd. But you know, the reason I bring this up is you know, I want to continue to do the post-game shows. It's funny, we get far less listeners and viewers and participants in wins than we do losses, and losses than we do wins. Like, people just don't want to really listen to us. But our most participated fan shows, the secondary one, these group chats and Mavs parties, are when Dallas loses and does something stupid. That's like last week or last game, we had 6 or 8 people join us on a Monday night. So the reason I bring this up is tonight, I think I'm not going to have a secondary show right now. I am just out of gas. There's been the last daylight savings time has just wrecked my entire household. So then I stayed up last night. I didn't even watch election stuff. I was telling Josh, I was like watching TV. I was watching Arcane, just a Netflix show, until about like 2 a.m. for no good reason. So, you know, Josh and I'll be back on Friday. Early game, we'll be thrilled about it. Do you got anything before we go?
no, I don't think so. But man, Nick, you were talking about the schedule. I know more for like our purposes, but like, I just kind of crept up on me. Their next 3 games are Suns, Nuggets, Warriors. So
It's an important stretch.
I know, and I love these games. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, as someone who, this is peeling back the curtain inside baseball. I think I talked about this, I don't know if it was last season or the season before, but like, at this point, I just want to watch them play against their peers in terms of like contenders. Like, this was a good game for the team. A lot of players played well. They took care of business. I don't learn much from these games. Like, I want to see what they look like when they're playing against teams that they're going to be competing with in the playoffs. And I feel like that gives us a better barometer of where they're at and how we can judge them. And it's just, I don't know. To me, it's just more fun to talk about. Like, yeah, it's great. They kicked the crap out of the Bulls. The Bulls stink. Good job. Not trying to diminish it. Like, fans should be happy. Like, this was aesthetically, this was all a very fun game to watch.
Yeah.
The Mavericks had 21 fast break points. They scored at 28 points off of Bulls turnovers. Like, they were getting up and down the floor. Like, there were moments where this looked like a Globetrotters all-star game in like the third quarter when the Mavericks were just like steal, fast break, like just every possession. So like, it was fun, but I'm looking forward to this 3-game stretch and kind of see where they're at, because, you know, of their 3 losses, are Suns, Rockets, Pacers. And I know the Rockets aren't a playoff lock, but they're a talented team. And then Pacers and Suns were playoff teams from a year ago. So I just want to see how they respond to increased competition.
All right, man. We'll talk soon. This has been Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back on Friday. Everyone enjoy the rest of your week and go Mavs.